Hey, Steelers fans. Let's jump straight into the thick of things with some fresh insights and perspectives on what's been happening with our Pittsburgh Steelers. Over the past few weeks, one storyline has been impossible to ignore, and that's the discussion around Jaylen Warren and the way he's been utilized, or in some cases, underutilized by the team. I know so many of you have been shouting from your seats or your couches, demanding to see Warren on the field, wondering why Kenny Gainwell keeps getting the spotlight instead. And believe me, I get it. Watching this offense can be frustrating, especially when you see talent that seems ready to shine, but doesn't always get the opportunities it deserves. Warren's journey is a classic underdog story. He came into the league undrafted, showed flashes of brilliance during training camp and preseason games, yet somehow found himself in a backup role behind Najee Harris from day one. When Harris left after last season, expectations were high. Mike Tomlin himself was asked about Warren stepping into a larger role, and while he said yes, he added those familiar qualifiers about durability. It was cautious optimism, but still a vote of confidence. Things looked promising when Warren signed a 2-year contract extension worth just over $17 million, $12 million guaranteed. That was a signal. This is your moment, Jaylen. Even with the addition of Gainwell in free agency and the drafting of Caleb Johnson, it seemed like Warren's opportunity was clear. Fans were ready to see him take the reins, to see him finally become the focal point of the running game. But then the season began, and the first few games painted a mixed picture. Jaylen's early yardage totals were modest, 37, 48, 47, 52, and perhaps the most disappointing moment came in Dublin, when he didn't play at all. He later explained that if it had been a playoff-level game, he would have been fine, but the coaches insisted otherwise. That game, and the circumstances around it, seemed to reinforce a narrative that Warren wasn't being relied upon in the traditional every-down sense. Meanwhile, Gainwell had an exceptional performance, particularly in Dublin, where he carried the ball 19 times for 99 yards, averaged over 5 yards per carry, scored twice, and caught every one of his 6 targets for an additional 35 yards. That's the kind of versatility and production that makes coaches and analysts sit up and take notice. And yet, when we zoom out and look at the numbers across the season, Jaylen's overall production is still impressive. He has accumulated 652 rushing yards on 159 carries, averaging just over 4 yards per attempt, along with 4 touchdowns. On top of that, he has 30 receptions for 277 yards, including a remarkable 65-yard catch against the Ravens. Gainwell, meanwhile, has 371 rushing yards on a slightly higher average of 4.6 per carry for touchdowns and roughly the same yardage in the passing game, though with significantly more receptions at 50 compared to Warren's 30. It's a close comparison, statistically speaking, but the perception from the coaching staff seems skewed toward Gainwell in certain scenarios. Here's the tricky part. The debate over who is better or who should be the number one option isn't as straightforward as the numbers might suggest. It's not about style, versatility, or even raw stats. The biggest factor influencing both players' production has been the offensive line, or, more accurately, the inconsistency of the offensive line. When the Steelers have used additional blockers, shifted players like Spencer Anderson, kept Darnell Washington in to block, or moved Ben Skoranek into a supporting role, both Warren and Gainwell have been able to gain yards. But when those supports aren't in place, when the line tries to run block without the gimmicks, both backs struggle. It's not about the opponent either, because even against defenses that allow average rushing numbers, the line has sometimes failed to open running lanes. Take the recent game in Baltimore against the Ravens, a team giving up over 111 yards per game on the ground. The Steelers managed only 34 yards on 17 carries, a 2-yard average that tells you everything you need to know. Jaylen carried 8 times for just 13 yards, Gainwell 4 times for 15, and Johnson 2 times for 4. Watching the game from a corner of the end zone at Acrisure Stadium gave me a clear view of this. You could see the holes open and close, the blocks form and disappear, and it became obvious that the backs had almost nothing to work with. John Harbaugh stacked the line, forcing Pittsburgh to rely more on the passing game. And while the passing attack ultimately responded, the run game remained stifled by a line that struggled to execute consistently. Even elite individual effort couldn't change that. Zach Frazier had moments of outstanding run blocking, yet the guys to his left and right were consistently beaten, which neutralized any advantage he provided. The result is that Jaylen Warren, Gainwell, and Caleb Johnson saw little opportunity to create explosive plays on the ground unless the coaches implemented special formations or added extra blockers. And while some might criticize the reliance on these creative schemes, it's clear that having additional blockers is preferable to being unable to run the ball at all. The Steelers have two running backs more than capable of carrying the load, yet the overall system often fails to facilitate it. And while the running game has been the central story, let's pivot briefly to the secondary. James Pierre's turnaround has been nothing short of remarkable. Not long ago, he was a player cut from the team after training camp, seemingly on the fringe, and now he is performing at an elite level, consistently ranking among the top defensive players in the league. His journey highlights the importance of preparation, perseverance, and the faith of coaching staff. Danny Smith's belief in Pierre and his commitment to keeping him around speaks volumes about talent evaluation within the organization. Pierre's story also underscores a broader lesson in sports. Teams must always recognize and nurture their talent from within. Losing a player who could have contributed due to oversight is one of the easiest mistakes to make as a decision-maker. The Steelers' ability to identify and retain Pierre, despite early setbacks, shows a level of organizational diligence that is as crucial as any play on the field. Moments like these, whether it's Warren waiting for consistent opportunities or Pierre emerging against the odds, paint a complex picture of the Steelers this season. There's talent, there's potential, and there are glimpses of what could be, but the execution on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, is a mix of brilliant plays and missed opportunities. Watching these games from the stadium offers a perspective that numbers alone cannot capture. You see the strategy, the holes, the missed chances, and the flashes of individual brilliance. It's the interplay between player talent, coaching decisions, and situational adjustments that defines the outcomes week after week. And right now, for the Steelers, it's clear that there's a wealth of untapped potential waiting for the right combination of execution and opportunity to be fully realized. Continuing with the Steelers' story, let's dive deeper into what's been shaping their season, especially on the offensive side. The way Pittsburgh has approached the running game has been fascinating yet frustrating to watch. Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell are both immensely talented, and the juxtaposition of their usage really highlights the challenges the team faces in building a consistent rushing attack. Warren has clearly earned his spot, proving his capabilities repeatedly, yet the opportunities haven't always matched his potential. Gainwell, on the other hand, has had moments where he's simply taken over games, making plays not just in rushing, but as a versatile weapon in the passing game. When you watch him in motion, catching passes, hitting gaps, and finding open field, it becomes obvious why coaches sometimes lean on him in critical situations. But the paradox remains. Even when the backs are performing, the line's execution, or lack thereof, can render their efforts almost invisible. Take the games against defenses that statistically are more susceptible to the run. The Steelers still struggled, and watching these matchups from the stands gives an almost painful clarity. You see the linebackers flow to the ball, the defensive tackles clog the gaps, and the line, despite their effort, simply can't create the lanes needed for consistent gains. Even when individual linemen, like Zach Frazier, show moments of brilliance, the unit as a whole often fails to sustain a push long enough for the backs to capitalize. That's the reality of football at this level. Talent alone doesn't win games. Coordination, timing, and the ability to adjust in real time are just as critical. Pittsburgh's running game has been a case study in how even elite backs can be neutralized by systemic issues. This also ties directly into coaching decisions and game planning. Mike Tomlin and his staff have tried to adjust by using additional blockers or creating trick formations, and while those schemes sometimes generate success, they're not sustainable over the long run. The team needs a base level of run blocking that allows any capable back to thrive without relying on gimmicks. It's why fans get frustrated They see talent being underutilized or mismanaged in situations that should be simple. And yet, despite these struggles, the Steelers' backs continue to deliver when given the chance. Whether it's a big reception, a tough yard on third down, or a well-executed play that breaks through the defensive front. Their resilience is impressive, and it speaks volumes about their preparation, focus, and determination to make an impact whenever possible. On the defensive side, the emergence of players like Pierre illustrates another layer of the team's story this season. Pierre's development has been remarkable, particularly considering his early setbacks. Cut after training camp, overlooked in many ways, he returned stronger and more prepared than ever. His improvement is a testament not only to his personal work ethic, but also to the coaching staff's insight in recognizing talent that could be maximized. Danny Smith, in particular, played a pivotal role in advocating for Pierre, demonstrating the importance of internal evaluation and player development. In today's NFL, talent can be found anywhere, but the teams that thrive are those that consistently identify, retain, and elevate players who might otherwise be overlooked. Pierre's story is a perfect example of that principle in action. The Steelers' season, therefore, has become a balancing act between maximizing individual talent and addressing systemic challenges. The running game, as mentioned, requires a line capable of creating opportunities. Without it, even the most skilled backs are limited. The passing game, while more reliable in some scenarios, still relies on timing and protection, and the secondary must consistently perform to support both aspects of the offense. When all these elements align, Pittsburgh looks like a team capable of competing at the highest level. When they don't, the results are predictable. Yards disappear, drives stall, and fans are left asking questions about potential wasted talent. It's a dynamic that can be frustrating to witness, yet it also underscores the complexity of football. Each play is the result of countless interactions between players, coaches, and schemes, and even small failures can ripple into larger setbacks on the scoreboard. Another interesting aspect this season has been the contrast in how talent is perceived versus how it is utilized. Warren's consistent production suggests he should be a featured back, yet game day decisions sometimes place him behind Gainwell in crucial situations. The reasoning is multifaceted: durability concerns, specific matchup strategies, and perhaps lingering hesitations from coaching staff about his long-term role. But statistically, Warren has proven he can carry the load and make significant contributions both on the ground and through the air. Gainwell, meanwhile, thrives in a complementary role, offering versatility that keeps defenses guessing. Watching the two of them operate side by side, you realize the Steelers essentially have a dual-threat backfield capable of creating mismatches and explosive plays if leveraged correctly. It's a luxury that many teams would envy, yet Pittsburgh's challenge has been to consistently unlock that potential. Then there's the mental and emotional side of the game, which often goes unnoticed. Players like Warren and Pierre are constantly navigating expectations, pressure, and opportunities that may or may not materialize. Pierre's rise is a case study in maintaining focus and preparation even when circumstances seem stacked against you. He was ready when his chance came, and that readiness translated into tangible results on the field. Warren's story is similar. Every time he steps onto the field, he has to make the most of limited opportunities, knowing that a single big play can shift perception and momentum. That mental fortitude, combined with their physical abilities, is what separates NFL-caliber players from the rest. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The rumor mill in Pittsburgh is spinning faster than a Heinz Field turnstile, and this time the spotlight is glaring right at the heart of the Steelers' locker room. Whispers have been growing for days, but now the buzz has reached a full-fledged roar. Sources close to the team claim that star pass rusher TJ Watt may have finally lost patience and said what no one else has dared to say about Mike Tomlin. Nothing is confirmed, nothing is official, but the tension feels thick enough to intercept. According to people familiar with the situation, Watt's frustration has been boiling for a while, fueled by what some describe as a disconnect between the defensive cornerstone and Tomlin's approach to the current crisis engulfing the team. The Steelers have been stumbling through a strange stretch. Too much talent to struggle the way they are, too much pride to pretend everything is fine. And in the middle of it all, rumors say what reached a breaking point. The chatter suggests he voiced concerns behind closed doors, challenging decisions, calling out a lack of direction, and questioning whether the team's identity has drifted too far from the hard-nosed blueprint that once defined Pittsburgh football. It wasn't a blow-up, insiders insist, but something even more seismic. A respected leader finally speaking the words others were afraid to utter. Of course, Tomlin remains one of the league's most unshakable figures, a coach who has weathered storms far worse than anonymous murmurs. But this one feels different. This involves the franchise's most dominant player, a face of a team, a voice that carries weight even when whispered. For now, everything remains in the realm of speculation. There are no cameras, no leaked recordings, no public outbursts, only quiet rumblings growing louder by the hour. But if even part of this is true, the Steelers aren't dealing with a simple slump. They're dealing with a crack in the foundation, the kind of rift that can reshape a season, a locker room, or even an era. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.